Hello guys, today I want to talk about Fire Emblem Heroes and the issues I have with the game in 2024. So, the first big topic I have with Fire Emblem Heroes at the moment is the text and skill descriptions. Now, Fire Emblem Heroes, it's not exactly recent, has had many weapons, skills, pref skills, whatever you can call, that started off, one paragraph, two paragraphs. We've reached the point of the game where there's just a blob of text where you cannot read anything until you sit down and really focus on what's going on. So skills that include both damage reduction and reduced damage from damage reduction are especially hard to read or understand, right, from these examples here. The average player that plays from mobile, they could be playing on a bus, on a train, waiting at a doctor's appointment. They're not going to whip out a calculator and figure out, how does this interaction work with this? They're just going to enter with the weapon triangle in mind and think, oh, red beats green, blue beats green, green beats blue, green beats blue, the weapon triangle, right? Another issue I have with Fire Emblem Heroes is that the movement in the game feels like it's going in a very quick pace. Maybe quick is not the right term, but gone were the days where the tooltip would say, hey, movement with armors, one space. Don't worry, but they're very tanky. More on the tankiness later. Nowadays, you have armors that have armor troop. Armor march used to be the thing where everyone was scared of. We have skills like the snap skills, where if you're not paying attention if a flyer has a snap, you can get zoomed on. You have, example, Legendary Hinoka, a unit I wanted to summon because giving flyers charge, pretty strong. Very hard to deal with if you don't have any idea what's going on. We have Igreen, extra movement to armors and infantry. You got to make sure to read that. We have Chloe with just charge to everyone. Of course they all have stipulations within two spaces, but it can get rough. Now, IS has been remedying the issue by having skills like stall ploy to stop extra movement. But even as I find out sometimes, reading Divine Veins, right? As recording of this video, they don't stop charge, for example. You can still get caught. You can retreat and boom, you're dead. Another topic I want to get into, which does have some merit and arguments against, are new units are just too good. I want to preface this by saying that this is a gacha game, and I do understand that having new units should be better than older units. So, intelligence systems can make some money. And you know what? Newer players can summon these latest units and be caught up with the veteran players with, said unit, right? Example, we can talk about Emblem Ike, which I will. And this is also not exactly the biggest reason why I quit the game, but it's the one that broke the camel's back. And yeah, I think the pinnacle design is with Emblem Ike. So before I delve into Emblem Ike, I want to say that Ike is, at the moment, arguably, maybe not arguably, the strongest unit in the game. However, I would also say that Ike won't be the strongest unit in the game in a few years. Given with IS's track record, they'll probably print out another unit eventually. So let's talk about Emblem Ike. So, here are the stats. These are just the average stats. Now, you might look at these stats and think, oh, if you weren't playing this game in 2024, if this unit came out in 2017, you'd be like, oh, is this an armor? HP, okay. High attack, wow. Speed, very low. Defense and res, wow, in the 40s. No, this is an infantry unit. And yes, I do understand, and I did talk about it. They are releasing strong units so people can summon for them. But my point still stands that, you look at this and you're like, wow, how much are they going to push this further? Moving on. The weapon skill. The pref skill. New skill. Lagoo's friend. Do you see something in common? Yes, there is a lot of reading and math. And what I mean by too much reading. Before I want to get into it, I do want to say that I do not mind reading personally. I love reading. Math? I love math. Reading and math together? It could be okay. However, there is some math where you cannot calculate while also keeping in mind what is going on. Reading while there is math that cannot be calculated in your head so easily. So when you break, example, some of like Lagoo's friend down, it's not that bad. The skill isn't hard to read, but you have to have so many effects in mind. Imagine this. And you're also, let's say you're playing this game casually. Again, you're like playing on the couch, playing on a bus, waiting for an appointment. You're like, let me just play some Fire Emblem Heroes. The player's going to be easily overwhelmed. And that's why you see so many people, example in Ether Rays, where you just, just send it. You just end turn. And not every player is going to have a TLDR by, Phoenix Master 1 to check what the heck this skill is going to do. They are just going to look at this, see a bunch of text, and be like, all right, I see this example 15% of defense or res. I see this multiple times. I am not going to read this. Right. All right. More on Ike. He has built-in DC and NCD. Now, we have seen a lot of units with built-in DC. But again, I am talking about older examples where, okay, DC was a very strong skill. Built into the weapon, so that's very strong already. Let's not have too much text with it. Okay, fine. We're in 2024. That notion is outdated. Okay, you can have a bunch of effects. That's fine. Now, Ike having NCD, you might think, oh, well, we have, Byleth, right? Winter Byleth, 2023. All right. Winter Byleth has NCD. What's the problem with Ike? I'm not saying that Ike's just a problem. Byleth is also a problem, but has a weakness. Ike also has a weakness, but what I have the issue with Ike's NCD is that you can't chip without Fatal Smoke because he has a huge ether that will just, shoot off and he'll get a bunch of healing. So why am I talking about, why NCD is the problem? Because in a lot of cases where, here's a clip of my Edelgard. I don't know. She just came out just in December. I know. This video's out in May. Attacks Ike. Oh, look. I did some chip damage. Sorry, no chip damage. Here. He's back to, almost full. Am I supposed to replace my C skill, my defense res ploy, for Fatal Smoke? You can make the argument, yes. Yes, I should. All right. So we found a solution to Ike, right? Get Fatal Smoke. And it is IS's idea that, hey, people need this skill, so we can, you want to summon for this skill? Pay some money. I understand that, but all right. Moving on here. Weapon triangle in current year doesn't exist. I mean, this is not a new problem. This has been going on since pretty much the game has been released. You could argue, say, maybe the end of 2018 where things got really crazy. Or when skills start going, having damage reduction, offensive specials with damage reduction or reducing their damage, things got a little bad. But when I see my Edelgard attack into an Ike and I do not kill, I feel something is off. But needless to say, weapon triangle in current year doesn't exist. I mean, even with the recent video we have, right, with Corrin, we see Corrin able to beat up a red unit, and he's green. They're just showing that how busted he is, right? And what's funny is that we have so many skills that have changed, right, in Fire Emblem's history. DC skills I just mentioned, a bunch of text, stuff with NCD. We have Fire Sweep. We have save armors. We have stuff that stops saves. AoE, things that reduce AoE. I mean, we do have things with Triangle Adept, right? Making Triangle Adept stronger. But as a baseline, the weapon triangle, in my opinion, the 20%, has not changed. I feel that something should be done with this. Something fundamentally has to change. Either increase it from like 20% to like 40%, where it actually does matter. But yeah. All right. So now I've talked about Ike and all this stuff. Let's talk about some weaknesses to Ike. I have heard. AoE kills Ike. Now this is true. Again, let's talk about the philosophy of, IS. And this is not just their theory, but like a lot of games do this. Print the problem and print the solution. So what do I mean by this? AoE kills Ike. What unit comes to mind that kills Ike in current year? You could say Ophelia could kill, but she's not in current year. Blue Ophelia with AoE. Well, you can give her Special Spiral 4 and then, big damage. I'm talking about Igreen right now, specifically, because she is like a very strong unit with that big AoE. However, what is the problem here? So I'm talking about this scenario in Ether Raids. Arena has its own issue where, in my opinion, with the 4 units that you have, how do you kill Ike? As of right now, with my units set up for Arena, I cannot reliably kill Ike unless I have Aryan, right? The blue man. He does kill Ike sometimes. And the match has to be considerably favorable where he cannot take any damage until I go against Ike. Because if he takes some chip damage and try to go against Ike, Ike is going to have a huge heal from his ether, and then I'm in trouble. But Arena aside, let's talk about Ether Raids. So in Ether Raids, let's say you have Ike on... You're playing offense against their defense. And you have your Ike. Oh no, my Ike dies, right? Oh look, there's a clear weakness. In Light Season, this does not exist. Why? We have Godo. Again, print the problem, print the solution, summon for Godo. Boom, you have the thing that stops AoE. What about the other seasons? Astra. That is... yeah. Well, what are they going to do? IS will probably eventually print out a thing. There has already been some, reduced AoE stuff, but not as strong as Godo. Eventually, they'll release something else that'll make it not as strong as Godo, but slightly comparable. You could bring a far save armor, perhaps. Stops it. You have to bring very specific units. Let's talk about Ike on defense. You have your own Ike on defense. How do they kill your Ike? Well, there is a brief clip here where I found a team that was anti-Ike, a whole team dedicated to beat people using Ike on offense, and they use Ike themselves. Of course, this is like literally the one outlier I've seen, but I have heard of such kits exist. And I look at this and I go, wow, this investment to kill Ike is so high that in general it's not worth it just to build to beat Ike for your own defense. Because there are so many skills that you have to fodder. This guy had multiple Lagoose friends. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, wow, okay. And a team that is able to beat Ike and use Ike, yeah, they're probably having a great time. And I have mentioned before that Fatal Smoke is, quote unquote, a counter to Ike. But as I mentioned before, this isn't nothing crazy that IS has done. Example of null NCD, right? Where the meta was bring a lot of fire sweep on AR defense, and they print the solution of, you know, having NCD. Ta-da. Just get Fatal Smoke, right, guys? Another thing we can discuss is, alright, how about units in general that beat up Emblem Ike? Just save for the units, right? Example, I've seen, of course, now we're talking about the weapon triangle again. Leon. The new Leon. The green Cav Leon. This is a problem that IS recently introduced, starting, I wouldn't say starting, but was more prominent with Camilla. Now, we know Flared Sparrow does the 7 damage boom, right? Camilla pushed that to another level. And then we have Leon, who pushed that even further, where I've seen Leons just kill Ikes, and I'm looking at this and going, what? Is there a counterplay? No, there isn't. But we can trust intelligent systems to create a solution that stops this pre-combat damage. Now, what am I getting at? The problem is that let's say I save for Leon, that by the time a player would save for Leon, it'll introduce another unit. Another unit like I said, Ike won't be the strongest unit eventually. They'll introduce another unit that's just better than Ike. That has its own set of skills. Its kit. That'll be like, better. I mean, this is normal, right? This is a gacha game. Print the problem, print the solution. Right? But why Ike specifically is the one that broke the camel's back? I'll get into that in a bit. So, how could IS, quote unquote, fix this issue? Short answer, they can't. They would legitimately have to change skills which people paid for. And in a gacha game, well, you can't exactly just refund players. Imagine people summoning for a plus 10 unit and go, oh, look, you just literally changed my text. What the fuck? They just print more solutions to solve this problem. Which is, you know, the snake eating its tail problem. The Ouroboros. We are going in a circle. They keep doing this. I understand they keep doing this. And they make money. But why this? Why is Ike giving me such a headache? We'll get to that in a bit. Another solution. Release weaker units so this power creep slows down. Now hear me out. Ike, in my opinion, right now is at the top, right? IS would never release weaker units to slow this power creep down. And we know why. Money. No one would summon for these units. If it's like their favorite, they look at it and be like, why would I summon for this unit that doesn't... that's just not great. Logically speaking, they wouldn't make money, so there you go. But here it is. Why, out of all these things I've talked about Ike, why was Ike the one that broke the camel's back? From my experience, now we're talking about my experience. When I see Ike just end turn, when I use my own Ike to end turn, aside from that such high investment team, there's really nothing that kills this guy. Really nothing. We can talk about past units that are very strong. Let's say, for an instance, Sita. Ascended Sita that came out. She is supposed to be an Omni-Tank. But look at her bulk. She's actually not that strong. But she is tanky, but not tanky enough. She has a clear weakness. When we talk about, for example, back in the old days, this might not be exactly relevant, but hear me out. On offense teams, the classic Brave Ike Lucina combo. Boom, boom, end turn. Hey, it's Ike again, funny enough. What are the things to stop it? Oh, just have units attack the units beside Ike and Lucina. Or just target Lucina herself, right? With Ike, you can just slam, for example, like obstruct. You could have a save armor protecting the back line and just full send Ike. Just full send the guy forward. In general, he cannot be stopped. Most defenses, right? Most defenses. Again, this is from my personal experience, but after seeing this so many times, I look at this and I wonder, what am I doing? Why am I playing this game? So, what are the other reasons that made me quit Fire Emblem Heroes entirely? With all this stuff, is the game balanced? Balance, lol. But seriously, it feels really bad right now. It feels really bad right now. Especially with this upcoming banner that has Corrin as the legendary and a Lear on that same color. Think about this. This is a slightly off tangent. They're releasing a green fire legendary dragon. And we already have another one. And they're on the same banner. What is the point? At least make this guy a different color. I just don't understand. Why is it green? Why is it fire? That aside, it's not Corrin you should be worried about in that banner, in my opinion. It's Ike. Funny enough, Marth is on that banner. Emblem Marth. Hey, look, you get value with getting his emblem, the engage effect. But the real kicker is, in my opinion, Ike. There are going to be so many more Ikes that we've seen that when I see Ike in Arena Assault, for example, if I don't have an AoE, things could get really bad. And then some scenarios, I have AoE, I still can't kill Ike. It's kind of insane. Now, another topic, which, again, this is my personal opinion, the game modes in Fire Emblem Heroes. I mentioned on my stream that the release of Affinity Auto Battles was so bizarre. Now, they might have gotten this idea, funny enough, from, people like Rival Domains auto battling with friend units. That seems fun, right? But the way they have these restrictions and how easy it is for Affinity Auto Battles, again, this is my opinion. I understand why it's so easy, right? Because then anyone can do Affinity Auto Battles. You just slap the units and then you just go. But for the new game mode that comes out at the end of the year to be something that can be done in like 1 minute, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Good game modes. Again, in my opinion. Seer Snare, pretty good. Hall of Forms, pretty good. Some game modes, like, I don't even know what that one's called. The one with you send units, or not even send units. You look at the percentages and see what's based off to send in the army, and then you just like there's not even combat. Like, what were they thinking with that mode? Pawns of Loki, debatable. The first week when it was released, it was not bad. It was pretty good. You know why? Because there was no meta development, and you know what? It was on a time where the units weren't that imbalanced. I guess I could say overpowered. If you see an Ike or an Edelgard or a Golveg in Pawns of Loki, you are just going next. You are just like, all right, all right, time to lose. Let's go next. Like, yeah, Ike definitely shines in that Pawns of Loki mode. In conclusion, again, what made me quit Fire Emblem Heroes? All of this stuff. All the stuff has been building up. The game balance, the weapon text, the pref text, the release cadence of these units, the quick pace of power creep, introduce the unit, and then introduce the unit that stops the unit. The game mode. The game mode, in my opinion, was like a really slap in the face. Because it was the end of the year and then we just get this mode. All the stuff has finally accumulated where I'm like, why am I playing? Why am I playing? So, yeah, that's why I quit Fire Emblem Heroes. Anyways, that's that. And thanks for those who joined me for Fire Emblem Heroes. A lot of the old footage is still on YouTube, and some of the stuff is on Twitch if you guys want to see it. As for now, what the future of this channel holds, I do not know. I'm probably going to play some variety games, strategy games, maybe some story games, maybe even play the game that I would never play, Fire Emblem Engage. But yeah, I think I had my fun with Fire Emblem Heroes. Anyways, stay safe, guys.